Florida man, first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you so loco, show off your photos, throw out them Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies, them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Got my attention by the man with the mojo, my 8th subscriber, yeah, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them Sinkies and dump them mimosas. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Hernando de Soto. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Got my attention by the man with the mojo, my 8th subscriber, yeah, I'm a bagoso. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about Rashad Richey today, and I know it's not my normal day, guys. It's a Tuesday, but I'm here, and I have some friends with me. Johnny Walker Dread, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have my own channel, the Johnny Walker Dread Show. I started out with the sovereign citizen type of thing. That's what I was covering. This was pretty well before that became sort of the rage across the country.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Rittenhouse shot up the town of Kenosha, and that changed everything. I mean,
it did.
And at first I thought that he's guilty, because I didn't know much about it. And then when I saw that, no, I mean, this was clearly a case of self-defense.
Yeah.
Then I saw him crying in the jail with his mother, and I said, I'm going to hop on this. This is just too good.
Yeah.
I mean, good in the terms of like
entertaining.
Entertaining. Yeah. So I punched out I've got around 400 videos on Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, wow.
And it includes guests like Grambo is on my show once in a while. Nathan DeBruin, the photographer. I've got.
Well, I saw the Rittenhouse, his mom and sister were on your show just the other night.
Yeah, and both sisters actually. Mm-hmm. They appeared, I think, like 3 times each now.
Yeah.
But I've also maintained constant contact with Dominic Black, who was the one that had the rifle that he gave to Kyle that night.
Yep.
So I'm kind of in tune with what's going on there, and I do a lot of videos on it. I still do. And then
I found you during the Crystal Kaiser. I saw this Crystal Kaiser case, and I started researching it. And like I was telling you when we talked the other day, after I do my research, I like to see what other people are saying, but I like to do my research first. And I found your one of your videos about Crystal, and I'm like, well, somebody else, because all of the media was saying how innocent angel. She's a victim, and she was sex trafficked. And I found your channel, and you actually have a brain on your shoulders.
Well, I appreciate that.
I've been subscribed ever since.
Can you tell my wife that, please?
Give her my email address. I'll let her know.
So I have like 25 videos on Crystal, and then Rashad Richey started really, upsetting me. And so I turned my attention on him, and that, which we will cover tonight, is a deep dive. It's truly amazing. But I think that's enough for me.
Chirp, welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Chirp is in incognito mode tonight. Did you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Went to some schools for a while. Both Johnny and I have some degrees under our belt. I primarily worked in the past with Stolen Valor with militaryphony.com.
Yeah.
And we have hundreds of posers, and a lot of the experiences from that have come to light with Rashad Richey and some of the techniques, because a lot of these posers also have fake doctorates, fake degrees, and a lot of what I've been reading really matches up with that. So I started digging a little deeper. And
the person that I was telling you about before we went live also claimed a degree as well, and I didn't put it together till you just said that. Yeah, I was letting him know about a certain person that I'm sure my audience knows who I'm talking about. So, but we're not getting into that tonight. Sorry, go ahead.
So I discovered the Substack with the fake PhD investigator, and I decided, this is worthy to come along and see how it goes, because I do have a personal interest in education.
Yeah.
And I've helped kids get into colleges and things like that, and I did it freely.
Yeah.
So, and I made no money about it, and I just want to help. I want to expose this guy for what he is.
Well, let's get into that. Do we want to just kick it off with the first?
Well, we probably should first talk a little bit about who Rashad Richey is. I'm not sure everybody
Yep.
knows who he is.
Yeah.
He is
Okay.
a
Go.
guest. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
He
Go
is the
ahead.
host of one of the Young Turks. It's
Mhm.
called Indisputable. That's his show.
Mhm.
He, as we will soon see, pretty much everything that he has ever concocted about himself is fake.
Yeah.
And he's very bombastic. He uses a lot of bluster.
Yes.
He's a master race baiter. So this guy will turn any topic into a white versus black and
Mhm.
always side with one side of that story.
Absolutely. That's the thing I knew about him when you brought him to my attention. I didn't realize he's in Atlanta or from Atlanta. And I am, everyone knows I live in North Georgia. The closest city to me is Atlanta. And I just assumed because he's on the Young Turks that he was in Los Angeles. And that's not the case. He's here and has his fingers in Atlanta Democratic politics, which we all know. From the Stacey Abrams thing to the mayor that fired that cop who was just doing his job at a Wendy's a couple of years back, like
Rashard Brooks.
yeah,
That's
the
Rashard Brooks shooting. Yeah.
the Atlanta politics is just something else around here. So
Yeah, it reminds me of Chicago a lot in the
Yeah.
in sort of the upper workings. I mean, your school district was nailed for falsifying, GPAs, not GPAs, test scores
it
at one
definitely
time.
was.
It was a long
Yeah.
time ago, but yeah,
I'm originally from Chicago, so I don't know if it's me. Is it me?
I think it's you. Yeah, we were talking about that. We're thinking, like, can you tell us where you're going to move next?
Yeah, where are you going? I'm moving to Tennessee in the next it's
Oh,
in the
poor
5-year plan.
volunteers.
So
Oh.
I'm sorry, Knoxville area, for the corruption that apparently follows me. Did you have anything to add, Chirp, or do you want me just to get into it?
Oh, please get into it. I'll pipe in when I need to.
All right, and then if you guys have something to say while these videos are playing, just start speaking up, and I'll pause it so we can talk about it. Okay?
Oh, and before we go, we have a hello, beautiful and ugly people. I think
That's-
I know who's referred to when the ugly thing comes up there, and I resent that.
That's my husband. I forgot to do, I get a little flustered when I have people here because I usually am just doing this on my own. But let's say hello to Call Me Ignorant. Hello, Stephen. Welcome to the show. And my husband, Mr. Zed, is the one who called me beautiful. Society Red, good to see you. Christo, always a pleasure. Erica, holding down the fort as my mod over there. And just so everyone knows, there may be some new people here as well. I know there's people on your channel, Johnny, watching as well. My channel is Katie Zed on YouTube. But if you do any sort of donation during the show, my co-host over here gets a milk bone on air. Zena, say hello. Wake up. Zena, wake up. She's alive, I promise.
I'm not sure that's worth a milk bone right there, that kind of action.
I got the milk bones right here, and she gets one of those live on air. We'll give her one to start it out. You ready? Can you catch? Nope, she didn't even try.
Yeah, those are great milk bones. Wow. This would be like a commercial,
And of course, you can always go to katiez.com for any of the KTZ merchandise. Okay, enough commercial. And let me know if anybody supports you on your show too. She'll get a milk bone too.
I'm not monetized, so
you should be. You have great content, and you should be monetized.
Can you tell YouTube that?
Why won't they monetize you? That's no good.
Oh, actually, I haven't tried, but it took me 4 years to get like 1,000 subscribers.
It took me a long time as well, so I completely understand. But you're there now. You can do it. You can do it.
Before we begin, I chose this one. I want to give everybody an idea about what Rashad is like. That's kind of one of the reasons why I chose this one.
Sorry, our other guest is here. I didn't even see him pop in. I'm so sorry, Tillman. Tillman's here.
Hey guys, I'm fake PhD investigator.
Hello. Did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? We already talked about Johnny and Chirp, but if you want to just give my audience a little background of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I have a Twitter account or X account, I guess, called Fake PhD Investigator at Fake PhD _ reveal, and I have a Substack called Fake PhD Investigations, where I just expose people who have false academic credentials.
All right. Go follow all of them. Go follow them, all of the things. Do all of the things. I would appreciate it. All right. So what is this first video? This is a Rittenhouse thing. Now, Rittenhouse is one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel. Stephen, who's in the chat, Call Me Ignorant is his channel, was covering the Rittenhouse thing. He was doing a morning show at the time where he'd cover all sorts of different news, and I was watching the case. And he had me on as just a normal person to talk about it just because I knew about it. And it really got me excited to put my face on camera. Actually, at the time, I don't think I was putting my face on camera, but to speak to a larger audience. So I followed this case very closely.
We just got a front row seat into the reality of the two-justice system in the United States of America. Kyle Rittenhouse has been found not guilty of all charges. Jurors in Kenosha, Wisconsin, on Friday declared Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all counts, capping off an intense trial surrounding the deadly unrest in that city last year. Rittenhouse, 18 years of age, would have faced a mandatory life sentence if found guilty and convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, as he should have been. The verdict came on the fourth day of deliberation.
Did he not watch any of the trial as he should have been? If you watched even if you just watched the highlights after the trial, you would know that he was completely innocent. Am I wrong?
There's a couple of theories on that. One, and I think that fake PhD investigator has kind of forwarded, is that he kind of knows Kyle's innocent, but he's putting on this big front. That. Well, I tell you what. Why don't you describe your feelings about his politics?
Are you talking to me? Or?
Yeah, fake PhD.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's his politics. Yeah, well, that I think his politics are whatever he can sell himself with. He's got a background sort of in anti-racist activism. His mom, I guess, was active in that field, so that's kind of what he's running with. There is some questions though, because he's very religious, and he's associated with himself with religious institutions and sort of far right-wing religious figures. So we're not sure, but what I'm sure of is that he's always just in it for himself.
My take on it is that he's just incapable of removing the filter. So everything that is shown to him is always going to be viewed in the terms of this sort of social justice filter. So he can't objectively examine evidence. And keep in mind, he fancies himself as a lawyer, but he's absolutely the worst person you could have as a lawyer.
Did he go to law school?
Oh, well, boy.
We'll get into it. I'm sorry. I don't want to spoil. No spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're going to talk about that tonight, but maybe we can talk about it now, or we could wait.
Let's do the Rittenhouse. I have 2 Rittenhouse videos that you sent me, and then we'll talk about his lawyering.
This was the 15th day of the trial. Do we have that verdict?
The defendant will rise and face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled?
He's so.
Let me help you understand something, because I know many will moralize on this and say this is exactly what the protesters deserved because Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself. Let me be very clear. Kyle Rittenhouse, in my book, is a killer, and he committed cold-blooded murder. He has been found not guilty by a court of law. My opinion still stands, period. So let me be very clear, because we want to highlight the unequal application of the law. You mean to tell me that if a black man travels to another state in order to insert himself into a contentious situation, a protest, if you would, let's say a Trump rally or a pro-Trump protest, black man goes there in order to protect property he has not been asked to protect. Nobody called for him, nobody was checking for him, nobody gave him authority. He's not a security guard, he's not an off-duty police officer, he just goes there with a gun. He gets a gun illegally. The person that gave him the gun illegally gets charged with 2 felonies. He has an illegal weapon, or he is unlawfully carrying a gun in the state.
By the way, not convicted, charged, yes.
Right.
Not convicted of 2 felonies.
The whole thing about Dominic Black having those charges on him, I talked to Dominic during the time that he was going up for trial on that. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to talk about that later, I can, because a lot of people don't understand what happened there with those felony charges and why they were reduced to a mere ticket, essentially.
It's because he kept the gun, because Kyle's allowed to carry the gun because of the length of the barrel. And they went through the whole thing during the trial. If this man would have watched the trial or was honest, one or the other, he would know that it was not illegal for Kyle to have that gun. Also, he did not cross state lines to go to the protest. He was already in Wisconsin. He worked in Wisconsin. People from the Northeast will understand this because the states are very small. But from Antioch, where Kyle is from, I think it was Antioch, right? But it's literally on the state line. You could walk to Wisconsin from his home, Yeah.
One of my videos, I actually went on Google Maps and did the street view and just drove to the state line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a short drive.
Yeah.
That he should not even be in. And he takes this gun, and 15 days before he commits murder, he says he's going or would like to kill a person coming out of a store. He said that, it's on video.
Not admitted.
That was not allowed in this trial. The jury members did not get to see that piece of information. It does go to state of mind. So all of this can happen, and then you can be the person with the gun. You think a black person with a gun that's not supposed to be in possession of the gun can go and kill people at a protest in another state, be the aggressor? Folks try to disarm him, and he claims self-defense after he kills 2 and tries to kill a 3rd. Do you really think that happens for a black man and he's found not guilty?
Yep. There was a case
in a court.
That you may know this. I'm sorry, I keep pausing it. I talk too much. So if you want me just to shut up and let it play, I will.
Actually, no, we're good.
Johnny, do you remember, or any of you? Sorry, there was a case that I can't think of the person's name, but I remember it happening right around the same time that Rittenhouse was found not guilty, where it was the same thing, and the black guy was found innocent. It was the exact same scenario. Is this ringing a bell for you?
Yeah, his last name was Coffee.
Yes, that's it.
I'm trying to remember his first name, but yeah, it was just about the same time. I think the verdicts came in on the same day.
Yeah, it was such a similar case, but you know who wasn't covering it? Rashad Richey or any of the media. You saw it on smaller YouTube channels. It's the only place you saw it. because they didn't want that narrative out there. It's all about the narrative. It's not about the facts. It's about the narrative.
And that's
Right,
kind of
and you'll
where
notice. Oh,
I
sorry.
mean, that's
Go ahead.
I kind of want to put that in there, just put it into context.
Mhm.
What Rashad Richey's doing, he's claiming all these, this legal education, which we'll discuss later,
Mhm.
and the reason for that is that he wants people to think that his everyman, everyday, lay opinion is an informed opinion,
Mhm.
and where it's just not. So he's just spouting stuff. He could be talking to a neighbor over the fence about this, getting all worked up, and that's all really his opinion is worth.
Yep.
Yeah. By the
Um,
way, you'll notice he said that Kyle Rittenhouse wanted to shoot a guy who was just coming out of a store.
mhm.
So he knows fully well that these were looters,
Yeah.
and so he's just going to recast it as person. So this is deliberate.
Well,
Um,
also, if you watch the video where Kyle says that, he's not saying that he wants to. He's being hyperbolic because of how angry he was at what was being allowed to happen in his town. And by his town, I mean Kenosha. Yes, he didn't live there, but he worked there. I don't work in the same town that I live in either, but if this was happening in the town that I work in, I'd feel the same way. That's my stomping ground. I'm there every day. I frequent the establishments in that area. I eat lunch there. I feel like that town where I work is just as much of my town as the town that I lay my head at night.
Some of this sounds like what he spouts out.
Mhm.
They make for sound bites, and it's almost like he's attracting this bumper sticker mentality where you get one or two sentences out, and that's what people hang their hat on, and therefore it must be true
Yeah.
because he's a news personality,
Yeah.
and it's wrong.
It is
yeah,
absolutely wrong.
and you also nailed it on the head. Is the manner of it, the way he speaks. It's bluster, so it persuades a certain type of person that
Mhm.
when somebody talks to them like that, well, they must be talking the truth because he's so affirmative and so confident in
Mhm.
what he says. Of course, he's wrong, but it works for him.
Yeah.
Do you really think so? This is a miscarriage of justice, in my opinion. Kyle Rittenhouse is a cold-blooded killer, in my opinion. And this, as I said many times on this show before, this does not surprise me. If you've been watching Indisputable, I have said right here on this program, I believe Kyle Rittenhouse will be found not guilty. Not because I think he's not guilty, but because I know the criminal justice system he's involved with. The prosecutor had a hell of a job. He had two defense attorneys to go against, one sitting next to Kyle Rittenhouse and the other one sitting in front of Kyle Rittenhouse in a black robe. Kyle Rittenhouse got every break imaginable inside of a courtroom. The judge even sung a song to him in front of the jury, made every ruling in his favor when the judge had discretion to do so, dropped the charge that was clearly against the law for him to be 17 with a dangerous weapon in Wisconsin. The judge threw that one out. That's the one probably was not even debatable by the jury. Big Waz, what are your thoughts here?
Man, it's tough. I'm watching a show on Hulu. It's called Dope Sick. It's about the opium epidemic. And
Okay,
very early on in the
pause.
show.
I mean, this guy just rambles around. That's one thing that Rashad, he always has these sort of like interns
Yeah.
that come on the show. And it's like they haven't been paying much attention to what's going on. I think half of them are stoned.
He did. He looked like he was dope sick, I think was the name of the show. Yeah.
But you'll notice that there's no attempt whatsoever for accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
None. I mean, Rashad doesn't care. He just simply comes out and spews whatever sounds good to his minions.
Well, and he's talking about the one charge should have been that he was carrying a weapon underage, but in Wisconsin, a teenager, I think 16 is the age, And by the way, I just spout off stuff that I think is true. A lot of times I'm correct, but when I'm just pulling it, when I don't have notes in front of me, it's just from my brain.
Well, we all make
But it,
mistakes. I mean, that's nothing new
well, and
there. But
I'll always say I believe or I think this is the case, but I think it's 16, and as long as the barrel is of a certain length, they're allowed to, because Wisconsin is a huge outdoorsy state. We're not talking about LA or New York City. We're talking about people who hunt for their food. So yes, it's 16, or people who are on a farm who have to shoot critters who are eating their crops. Like, this is what we're talking about. So yes, at 16 you can carry a long gun, and at 18 you can own one. And he was a couple of months away from his 18th birthday. Yes, he bought it. He did do a straw purchase, which if he would have got charged for that, I would have understood.
whoa, careful there.
Allegedly, whatever. But
Well, that's
the
under
point
hot debate right now.
the
So
point being is that the his friend did not give him the gun, so it was not a straw purchase. But if they were going to try to argue something, I could see them arguing that is what if I chose my words better, is what I should have said. He said, once you turn 18, then I will sell you this gun,
okay, so we
which
have a
was
comment
months
here.
away.
I Google that you must be 18 to carry, not in Wisconsin. And I realized that they looked up the Wisconsin law.
Hmm.
However, there are sub statutes there that basically exclude that restriction under certain conditions.
Yep.
And the judge, the prosecutor, and the defender and the defense went around and around on it. There were seasoned lawyers that had YouTube videos on it. They couldn't figure it out. It was a total mess. The judge at one point said, I can't even write jury instructions for the statute.
Well, and it had to be over a certain barrel length. They were going to pull out a tape measure and measure the barrel of the gun at one point, but
Well, that was
the
never in dispute.
prosecution conceded the point.
Yeah, that was never really in dispute, though. Everybody knew that the gun was legal
Yeah.
in that respect because you couldn't sell it in that state if it was too short.
Yeah.
The problem was whether Kyle needed a hunting permit or not. And that's what it all came down to. But
Mhm.
As far as the straw purchase, Wisconsin doesn't legislate against straw purchases. It lets the feds do that. So
Yeah.
Kyle
Well, it's
was
still
with
a
that.
federal. If
Um,
Steven's still here, I just want you to pay attention to these straw purchase stuff we're talking about. That's an inside joke.
oh, okay. But at any rate, the main thing is Rashad Richey doesn't understand Wisconsin law at all. He doesn't
Mhm.
understand what happened. And he's making the same classic mistake that so many people on the internet do, and that is they basically state or claim what the law is based on their gut feel of what it should be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that changes from one defendant to another, right?
And quite honestly, there's laws that I feel should be different as well, but I don't state them as fact. I say this should be different. Like, for instance, I was just talking about this on my friend Kafar's show last night. If you punch your wife in the face as hard as you can, as long as there's no permanent disfigurement, that is a misdemeanor. And I think that that is wrong. I think that law is wrong. I think that it should be a felony if you punch your wife in the face as hard as you can. But that's just not the case. But I'm not going to say this person committed a felony because they punched their wife in the face when it's clearly not a felony on the books right now. You see what I
Right.
mean?
Sure.
All right.
But I would also add on there that in Wisconsin, I can go and buy a gun for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I can do it. Now, if I give the gun to the 5-year-old, that's a crime, but the purchase is fine.
And the kid can shoot the gun with your supervision.
Depending on the age, yeah.
Yeah, my niece at the age of 16 in Arizona, different laws in Arizona than here or in Wisconsin, but received an AR for her 16th birthday. And obviously she did not keep the AR till after she was 18, but it was her gun kept in her grandfather's safe,
Mhm.
So.
Okay. I don't know if we need to play any more of this one. I think that one's kind of tapped out. Do you want to put up another video?
Yeah, this is the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the same one.
Yep. No, this is the next one. This is Rittenhouse joins Fox News's racist lies about his case. This is the second. And this is a 10-minute video, so maybe we won't play the whole thing, but we'll get into some of it.
Kyle Rittenhouse, in my opinion, got away with murder. And I'm going to explain to you, why this is murder and how this case.
Sorry.
Is it the same one? I think it is. I might have screwed you over there.
No, this is a different one.
Oh, it is? Okay, I'm sorry. Starts out the same.
Yeah, the first one was, hold on a second. Yeah, this is a different one. The first one was not guilty on all charges. This is about him joining Fox News.
Has turned upside down what we know as the Castle Doctrine. But the truth is, they have been chipping away at the Castle Doctrine for years in the United States. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse says Black Lives Matter. He has no problem with it. He actually supports the movement. Here it is.
This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating. And I believe there needs to be change. I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. And it's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of somebody.
Notice he cuts him off mid-sentence, too. That's not fishy. That's not selective editing.
The killer, Kyle Rittenhouse, is lying. See, body language gives him away as well. When he says that he supports the Black Lives Matter movement, he's shaking his head like this. Go back and look at the video, okay? He doesn't believe what he's saying. Now, naturally, he's on with Tucker Carlson that we interview tonight. Tucker Carlson, Fox News, safe haven for all things racist. So let's talk about the elements of racism that do it.
He just throws this racism accusation around willy-nilly, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he uses it on everybody.
Like, first of all, Kyle Rittenhouse is a child. He's 19 at this point. So if he, I would believe Kyle Rittenhouse more if he says, I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. Once he gets older, he'll probably realize that that is not a smart movement to support. I do believe that all people's lives matter, including Black people's lives. But the movement itself was embezzling millions of dollars and starting race riots. So that's not a good organization to support, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion. But he's a kid, and I don't believe he's racist.
I mean, to Rashad, pretty much if you're white, you're racist. I mean, that's just the way he views things.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have this on his show if he couldn't claim it was racist.
I noticed that about his show is that there's always a race element to his show every single time.
Mm-hmm.
What I do find missing in the whole Kyle Rittenhouse debate in general is the focus on the people that died. I mean, that's a terrible thing to happen. And also to Kyle Rittenhouse to have killed 2 people. Wow, that's terrible. Right?
Traumatic.
It's really this tragedy, the whole case. And I think that it's important to keep that in mind. You can talk about all these things, but they are really peripheral to the actual tragedy that occurred, in my opinion.
And I feel worse about the skateboard dude than the pedophile dude, which I can say that. I'm not going to say allegedly because he was convicted of that. And the reason being is I believe skateboard dude actually thought it was an active shooter and actually thought he was being a hero. I believe that. And it turned out not to be true, and he turned out losing his life. But the first dude started it. He chased him down and was trying to steal his gun.
Yeah, I have a video on Jojo Rosenbaum's criminal background.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
It's extensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exist. Obviously, the criminal justice system was biased in his favor. That is a racial element, okay? You don't have to simply be aggressive against Black people in order to be racist. Remember why he was there. He traveled to that state because he was anti-Black Lives Matter protesters.
He was anti-riots. He was anti-people burning down his city. Sorry if I'm yelling in your ears. I'll back up from the mic. But he was there because people were destroying his city. And he watched it happen on the first night. And he watched it happen on the second night. And then the third night, he said, I'm going to stand up. I don't think this is right. I'm going to do something about it. He didn't go there because he's a racist who hated Black Lives Matter protesters. Not at all. And he'll tell you that. And I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, keep in mind he was invited to go and protect the businesses.
Oh yeah, yeah. He
wasn't. He didn't go to Kenosha, to protect private property. He was invited after he was already there, and so
he was there cleaning up. And they said, "Hey, could you protect this business? We're going to try to protect the businesses tonight. We need people. Do you want to come?" And they found him because he was there cleaning up the mess that these rioters left the day before.
Yeah, there's also an element you have to think about is he's 17. The older adults are all going to go down with the rifles and protect businesses. Do you want to come? What 17-year-old is going to say, well, no, fellas, I don't know. That sounds kind of dangerous. 17-year-old is going to say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to be the hero.
He's acting like every 17-year-old would have done, at least a male.
Same. Yep.
That's why he was there. Let me remind everyone that in this Rittenhouse clip, Rittenhouse spoke out denying his case was related to race in the clip of his interview with Tucker Carlson. A acquitted teen was spotted on Sunday having lunch in Florida where he filmed the sit-down interview. Meanwhile, protests continue in Kenosha and several other cities over the not guilty verdict. This case, according to Kyle Rittenhouse, has nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the right of self-defense, Rittenhouse told Fox News host Tucker Carlson in an interview filmed on Sunday. He went on to say, and I quote, "I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement and peacefully demonstrating," the teen added in an advanced clip of the interview, which is set to air on Monday night. Okay? They put out this part of the interview because they are coming to the rescue of Kyle Rittenhouse. Here's what the conservative right, here's what they're trying to protect Kyle Rittenhouse from. They don't want Kyle Rittenhouse to become Zimmerman, okay? That's what they're trying to protect. Now, Zimmerman, who also got away with murder, in my opinion, has lived a loser of a life. Well, he was a loser before it, okay? Remember, Matt Gaetz has already offered Kyle Rittenhouse a job in Congress. You have people going to his defense. There were celebrations that Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. We have video after video all across America, people inside of bars in particular, white people especially, cheering and applauding the not guilty verdict. Now, why is that?
Because we respect our right to self-defense. That's why.
Yeah, notice the bluster. I mean, he made sitting down and having lunch in Florida sound like a crime.
Yeah.
God
forbid he eats lunch.
He's accusing Kyle of the same thing he's doing. There's an agenda on race, and prior to this, there was nothing about Kyle being a race baiter or anything like that. Nothing.
No, and they tried so hard.
If it doesn't involve race or he can spin it into race, we have a show. And that's a problem. It used to be in this country, journalism was a problem, but now here it is every night. We listen to the same thing, same argument, different consequences.
They dug into Kyle Rittenhouse's past so much so that there was something going around online where he was wearing a pair of Crocs that had the American flag on it. And apparently that was racist to have American flag Crocs when he was like 11 years old or something. Which is just ridiculous. First of all, do you think that he bought those? He picked them out and bought them at 11 or 13 years old? No, they were bought for him. It was probably the 4th of July, So.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also the picture of him holding a toy gun. He was, I think he was 7 at the time.
There's a picture of me holding a toy gun too. What's the point? And
Yeah,
I
and
don't
of course everybody
Crocs,
thought that his
if I
mother had given him a real rifle.
yeah, if I don't own Crocs, but if I did, I'd buy the American flag ones. There's an American flag outside of my house right now, and apparently that's racist to have an American flag outside your house.
Yeah, we'll put one on your truck and drive around and see how things go.
I mean, I'm in Georgia, so it wouldn't be the American flag; it would be the Confederate flag. And you see that a lot around here, and it's not racist. It's just, if I see somebody with a Confederate flag around here, I don't think that they're a racist. I think that they really like their heritage. Like that. It's not the case for most of the country, unless you're from a city.
It really depends on who's controlling the narrative.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else this race baiter
I don't
has
know
to
if we need
say.
that video anymore. I think we've kind of.
Let me just hear him out this last little bit, and then I'll.
Kyle Rittenhouse their son? No. Did they have some personal stake in the case? No. But why are they celebrating like this? Because they see their movement personified in Kyle Rittenhouse. Their movement that says we can go to a protest for black people, for black lives. We can go to their protest armed, violating state law. We can be the aggressor. And we can kill someone if they got something to say about it and get away with it. So let me show you how this expands the Castle Doctrine and why I believe Kyle Rittenhouse got away with it.
This is the part that I want to hear, what he has to say about the Castle Doctrine.
Sorry, I'm glad you kept going.
Murder. The Castle Doctrine, also known as a castle law or a defense of habitation law, is a legal doctrine that designates a person's abode or any legally occupied place, for example, a vehicle or a home, as a place in which that person has protections and immunities permitting one in certain circumstances to use force. Real simple, right? Real simple stuff. If you are somewhere that you are supposed to be, it doesn't work if you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. If you're somewhere where you're supposed to be, somebody tries to attack you, you can use force. And yes, you can even use deadly force if the circumstance warrants it, right? Simple, Castle Doctrine. And then there was an expansion of that doctrine called Stand Your Ground. Let's go to Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground laws allow a person to use deadly force in a confrontation, no abode necessary, without any duty to retreat, even when they can do so safely. We have allowed them to chip away at the self-defense clause for decades in this country. You see, Wisconsin still has a state law that says you cannot use deadly force to protect property. Why? Because the duty to retreat is still statutory in Wisconsin. Now, states like Florida and some other states that have stand your ground laws, no. Confrontation can permit the immunity from your prosecution if you kill somebody, all right?
All right, that's enough of that. I'd just like to point out that he was retreating the whole time. Kyle Rittenhouse was retreating and was chased down.
He got nothing right. Mm-hmm. First of all, Wisconsin is a no duty to retreat state.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep, it's codified. So he missed that one. He uses every town researches real threadbare definition of the stand your ground deal. That's not an actual definition of stand your ground. Mm-hmm. It's much more complicated than that. You can't just shoot somebody in any confrontation and get away with it. No. So, I mean, and Castle Doctrine has no relevance whatsoever to this whatsoever. Kyle was not inside his home or inside his RV.
But
or
even
in some cases, car.
Even if it was, he was retreating. He was retreating from Rosenbaum, and then he was retreating from the mob, and then he didn't shoot Grosskreutz until a gun was pointed at his head. And it was proven, and Grosskreutz admitted it on the stand, that yes, I pointed the gun at his head, and that's when he shot me.
Well, we also heard this during the Zimmerman trial, where Zimmerman got off because of stand your ground. Zimmerman never claimed stand your ground,
Nope.
and it would have been made no sense because Zimmerman's claim was that Trayvon Martin was on top of him. So duty to retreat, who cares?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
self-defense, just like just like this.
So you get an idea now about Rashad Richey's sort of understanding of the law, which is basically zero, and his sort of racial driven narrative.
Absolutely. This next one is about Larry Elder. Did you want me to play that one next?
No, let's go ahead and maybe skip that one because of the time constraint.
I have Rashad Richey responds to threats made against him.
No, that one there was because we were talking about that conversation earlier, and I was just showing you.
Gotcha. Here's the one. Man steals $30,000 from school. Dr. Richey offers to pay the balance.
I put that one up there because I thought that might be rather interesting.
Yeah.
This happened real recently.
Yeah.
And it does show you the character of this guy. So you guys want to watch it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the things that really caught my attention when you were telling me about Dr. Rashad Richey. He just a little what we're going to see here is he covered a story about a school that was stolen from and said, I will pay the difference to pay the chocolate company, the world's finest chocolate company, back. And then we'll see what happens. We'll let you guys tell the story, but let's watch this video first.
A school organization trustee stole $29,000 from the candy fundraiser. Put up the picture full mass. Hell of a story. Very sad indeed. A chocolate fundraiser ended more bitterly than sweet. Baltimore County courtroom where an Essex man pleaded guilty to pocketing thousands of dollars of candy sale proceeds meant to benefit a public middle school. Unfortunately, I could not confirm a picture. We are still working on a confirmed picture of the individual. His name is James Michael Harris.
I have a feeling there's a reason why we're not showing his picture, and I don't think it's because they couldn't find the guy's picture.
Actually, I think that he couldn't find the guy's picture. I couldn't find the guy's picture either.
Really?
Yeah.
If I had to guess, there's a reason why we can't find his picture in the news.
I found his address, but yeah.
Normally I would agree, but I think in this case, I don't think Rashad could find the picture either.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
46 years of age, was treasurer for the Parent Teacher Student Association affiliated with the Stemmers run middle school in the county. He drained the nonprofit and the bank account and spent money raised by students through chocolate bar sales. I remember these fundraisers myself. Baltimore County prosecutor said the theft totaled $29,000, occurred between April 2022 and March 2023. They do have a prosecutor on top of this. Authorities charged Harris for having sticky fingers. And after parent and the school administrator grew suspicious, they confronted him. He admitted to moving the money between PayPal accounts before spending it on himself and online gambling sites such as DraftKings and FanDuel, said prosecutor Adam Lip. The state is seeking prison time for Harris, but agreed to a plea deal that would suspend sentencing for another 6 months while he pays restitution. He faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Harris has already paid back $8,000 using funds withdrawn from a retirement account and is working to return more of the sum in coming months. The theft dealt a serious blow to the school, which mainly serves children from low-income households. Gone are the after-school snacks for student athletes, the seasonal school-wide dances, gone, and the teacher appreciation week gifts, gone. All niceties provided courtesy of the PTSA. The students' chocolate bar fundraiser alone would have generated $9,000 for the school, said Rosemary Roos Whitney, president for the PTSA. Quote, those kids worked so hard to raise that money, and they got nothing for it in return. She said this on Friday. Quote, "Is really disappointing. Despite the court proceedings, the PTSA has struggled to bounce back. Parent volunteers quit the nonprofit's board in the fallout. Bruce Whitney pursued an insurance claim for the PTSA that was denied because the nonprofit had not kept proper financial records. And the group risked losing its charter with the National Parent Teacher Student Association affiliate. Perhaps the lowest blow came with the bill itself. The PTSA could not afford to pay back the $6,815 it owed to the world's finest chocolate company. That's the name of the company, the world's finest chocolate. The company that supplies the candy for such fundraisers. Schools typically.
I love World's Finest Chocolate. Whenever a kid comes to my door or is in, the somebody selling those candy bars at my bank, sometimes the teller, their kids are selling it, so she's got it there. I always buy the caramel ones and the almond ones. They're the best. So I'm kind of sad about this story. But here in a second, he is going to offer to pay this bill. Let's watch. And while we're watching, the dogs are going to get a milk bone. So their
I'm going to
pictures
put something in the refrigerator, so I'm going to step out for just about a minute.
We pay a discounted price for the sweets once the fundraiser is complete, and they keep the profits to benefit their schools. This is the spokesperson. So Bruce Whitney said she negotiated with the company and provided documentation of the theft. About half of the balance was forgiven, leaving a total of $3,407.50. Debt in collection, she said. World's Finest Chocolate spokesperson Jennifer Taylor, who you see there, declined to comment on the outstanding invoices or whether the company had faced similar cases. Quote, "We will always support our school partners and look forward to continuing to help schools fundraise," Taylor said in an email. Let's put up the CEO. That's old Eddie Oppler, chairman and CEO of the World's Finest Chocolate. Looks like he's having a good time on his boat. The PTSA operates independently.
Why would World's Finest Chocolate have to pay this bill? They're still owed the money.
They don't. And the reason he's putting up this picture is because the CEO is on a boat, right? He's this rich guy. In the meantime, Rashad Richey puts up pictures of himself in his convertible Mercedes with his Rolex and a Gucci scarf, right? So
here's the thing. This is probably a chartered boat. I mean, we don't know that he owns this boat.
Well, they certainly the guy's rich. The company does, 300 million revenue a year. But that's not even the point. The point is that they don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is he's putting this fishing picture up because if I had to guess, in my opinion, the people that he's speaking to, their hobby, they're not anglers. Their hobby is not fishing. So people see this and they're like, "Oh, he must be rich. He's fishing." There was 5 kids in my family and 1 income, and you know what my dad's hobby was? Fishing. And we didn't have any money. We grew up 7 of us in a 2-bedroom home in Chicago. So guess what? You don't have to be rich to be a fisherman. You could get a rod at Walmart for $20 with all of the sundries that you need to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, before you begin, and I don't know if you've talked about it while I was gone, but overall, this man forgave about $3,400 of expenses.
Yeah, so he did his part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he didn't have to. He didn't have to do any of that.
No.
From the Baltimore County school system, meaning the school itself is not on the hook for any debts, but these parents are, said district spokesperson in an email Friday. The middle school administrators opted against working with the candy fundraising company this year.
Let me get this right. So the money was stolen from the school, but the parents of the children are responsible, or are they just saying the PTA is responsible?
Yeah, the PT or PTSA, as they call it, the money was stolen from them, and they're separate from the school. All their funding is separate from the school.
Okay. I thought for a second there, I thought they were saying, like, my kid sells the chocolate, turns in the money, and then I'm still responsible to pay for it again.
No.
But that's not
And
the case.
And the one thing that doesn't come up here is the treasurer that stole the money. He's actually a parent of one of the students at the school.
Okay. I'm going to start the video again, and thank you, Paracord Princess, for becoming a member just now. I appreciate it. We're going to give the doggies a milk bone on your behalf. They appreciate it too.
The school has since welcomed a new principal who's working to rebuild the Parent-Teacher-Student Association. Parents at the school are trying their hardest to support students and educators in the midst of the loss, but morale is depleted. Bruce Whitney said she struggled this year to find parents willing to volunteer for the PTSA. The treasurer position remains unfilled. Everyone's scared, she said. This is horrible. $29,000 of public school, low-income students, low-income households. You know what that means? That $29,000 was worked for. That's what that means. That $29,000 they had in the bank, they worked hard for that. So here's what I'm going to do to the school system. I hope you all step up to the plate and provide the assistance required. To the chocolate company, shame on you for not already stepping up to the plate and doing what you should have done. But it will not be shame on me. I will pay the balance personally. And I will help the PTSA restore whatever debt they owe so that they can be in good standing with the national affiliate, so that those students can have an advocate, those students can have after-school activities, and those students can have a continued advocate through the parent association as the school system.
Tell me, gentlemen, was it shame on him?
It was shame on him. Yes,
So,
he
let
did
us know.
not. He just did not do what he promised. And I thought about this. There's a concept in law called detrimental reliance. So he's making this public promise.
Yeah.
To his millions of followers, and he's posted this everywhere on his Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And imagine if those people had gone out, the PTSA had gone out and said, well, he's going to pay the balance, so we're going to borrow some money from a bank because that's all getting paid for, we're good. And then of course he doesn't pay the money because he's Rashad Richey, and then if they had been unable to pay back this debt, they could sue him for detrimental reliance. I'm not sure how much it would hold up, but certainly,
I think it would.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it would. I watch People's Court. I know how it works. But yeah, I think if they had done that, I think they probably still could. But
so what happened is after this show, nothing happened, and then a few weeks later, me and a couple other people contacted this PTSA and said, hey, what's up with that? We're pretty sure, because he's Rashad Richey, we're pretty sure he wouldn't have paid a cent. And sure enough, they'd never heard of him.
Really?
This was new. He had never contacted them.
Wow.
And said, hey, I'm going to make this promise. This is what's going on. He had never contacted them. He contacted the chocolate company.
So you're the one that you're the one that let the PTA know that they should have this money coming.
I'm not sure if I was the first one, but there was a couple other people, maybe 3 or 4 people altogether, contacted these folks and said, hey, what's going on? And so he didn't pay. So then they got upset. They're like, well, he made that promise. This would be wonderful, right? We need that money before the kids graduates, and we can have this nice ceremony that we have every year. And so they were looking forward to it. They said, Rashad Richey's a hero. We're so grateful. Money's going to come anytime now. And of course he didn't. So finally, somebody else, contacted them and said, like 2 weeks later, said, is there anything? Did anything happen? Yeah.
Apparently, it was Johnny that contacted them.
Yeah, and they said, we're gonna try to call him. Yeah, right. We gave them his contact information, his phone number, email address, so that they would be able to hold him to his word. And so I guess there was some back and forth, and he made some empty promise, and eventually he paid $2,000, not the balance.
Yeah.
And
balance,
who knows
by the
if
way,
he
was
actually paid it, or
$17,000.
if he just promised to pay it, and or maybe he issued
Oh,
a phony check, or who knows what, right? We
somebody
don't
needs to
really
ask
know.
the PTA to see if they got that $2,000.
Yeah, if they actually got it in the end, or if it was just another
Yeah.
promise. And then the other thing is, he promised, they made a GoFundMe. Actually, we should share that. They made a GoFundMe.
If you put it in the private chat, I'll pull it up on screen.
Yeah, so they made a GoFundMe, because Rashad was discussing with them. He said, "Oh, you know what? I'll share it. I'll donate some money, and I'll share a link to their GoFundMe, so all of my viewers and listeners can help pay for this, because obviously he's too cheap for it."
Yeah.
And of course, he's never come through with that either. So
Oh,
they're stuck.
all he had to do
Yeah,
was share the
that's
GoFundMe,
right.
because I know with the size of audience that TYT has, he would be able to fund $18,000 less the 2,000.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, probably in the matter of days.
I think there's like $16,000 still outstanding. Rashad
Yeah.
Richey promised that he would pay it personally, the balance. He did not.
Well, and that's my thing too. Even if he got into, he's on air, he says stuff, and then realizes, I forgot that I have this outstanding tax bill. I can't afford to do it. He has the reach to get that money for that school, no problem. And all it would take on his part is a little effort, and he didn't even do that.
Yeah,
I
he
think
didn't.
that even more despicable was him calling out the owner of the candy company and just
Yeah.
shaming him for not contributing when the candy company actually donated almost twice as much as Rashad. And he did, and the candy company guy, unlike Rashad, he didn't go on and make a big deal, try to get a marketing thing out of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's pretty bad. It was around 17,000. I think Chirp, you got something to say about this, don't you?
Well, yeah, I was so incensed about it. I was the guy that sent the email to the school asking about what happened with the money. What did Rashad do with it? How much did he donate? And they responded back to me, and that's when I fired off an angry email to you so you could update your viewers. It was incredible. I couldn't believe what I was reading, but
And
here we are,
I mean,
talking about it.
Rashad Richey, let's just be clear. Rashad Richey is worth millions. He lives in a very comfortable home. He actually owns two.
You all
And
sent me his address, and I looked at it on Google Maps. It's a nice neighborhood. It's a
it's a
very
very
nice
nice
neighborhood.
It's almost as if he doesn't like black people.
Yeah, exactly that. Yep.
Yeah, so he lives in a very nice place. And during this whole thing, while that was going on, the school was asking for the money. He announced loudly, of course, again on all of his social media accounts, that he purchased a company, an educational company. He bought a company outright. He's showing off his wealth there while being cheap with them, which would be nothing to him.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Did we want to go into the education part of it, or you want me to play some more of these videos you sent? Let me tell you the titles of the videos I have and tell me which ones you want me to play. Charles Blow and Rashad Richey on new development and Rayshawn Brooks fatal shooting.
Probably not.
Then we have court released dash cam video of Dothan police shooting.
Yeah, so let me explain what that was about. Rashard Brooks, as you know, because you're from Atlanta,
I am.
grabbed a hold of a police officer's taser, was running with it, tried to shoot the police officer with it, and the police officer shot him dead. And of course, Rashad Richey went berserk over it. People forget that in Alabama, a sovereign citizen refused to give his driver's license.
Yeah.
And basically got into a tussle with a couple of police officers. He, during the tussle, reached and grabbed the police officer's one of the police officers' taser, So she pulled out a gun, stuck it in his stomach, and pulled the trigger.
This one we're definitely going to watch. First of all, it's only 3 minutes long. Secondly, I have a lot of sovereign citizen haters in my chat.
Okay.
I have thoughts on female police.
So let me give you a little background on this one, because this one covers primarily the shooting. But so this sovereign citizen went in to turn a dog into the dog pound, and there's a police officer there, and the dog pound says, "Well, to give us a dog, you have to have an ID."
Yeah.
Well, the sovereign citizen says, "I'm not going to give you my ID." So now the police officer comes in and says, "You have to." Why, I don't know. So she went back and forth, and sovereign citizens, how they are, she calls it backup. So another police officer arrives on the scene, and the sovereign is just not being cooperative at all. He's not.
They rarely are.
Yeah. Now, in his favor, he's not assaulting the police officer. He's just trying to get away from them, and he's just being really uncooperative. And basically, they get into the scuffle besides the car, and I think you'll see it from this point on.
Okay. Warning, this is graphic, apparently, which we like to show on my channel.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry.
No, she stopped me right there.
Well, you heard the taser go off. You could hear it.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
There is a close up here.
Yeah, let's watch this. So I'm just trying to. This is the officer, I think, behind. Or
the
is this
female is the one that pulls the gun and shoots him.
Okay.
There's a woman on the side who's trying to kind of help, and there's a male officer that's been basically doing almost all of the
heavy lifting?
Yeah.
Well, and it looked as if this person in the white was trying to get the taser away from the person. Is that what happened?
Or trying to get his, or just trying to maybe help, control him. I don't know. But the guy's kids are in the car, and when you press a gun against the stomach and pull the trigger, that man's dead.
Oh yeah,
because those gases are just going to go right through the entire and just destroy the innards of the person. So he died on the side of the road there. The kids are screaming, and what I think is interesting about this.
Oh, there's the kid.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Truly horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
And how many of you guys knew anything about this?
I didn't know anything about it. Did not know anything about it.
No.
Nope.
Until you mentioned it in the group chat the other day. I think that's the first time I had ever heard about it.
Yes. So there's this narrative out there that the lives of blacks don't matter, but in these kind of cases, this guy, he was ignored. His death is ignored completely because nobody cared about it.
Yeah.
And if the races were reversed, and I really hate this argument, by the way, but I'll use it here. If the races were reversed, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
go ahead.
Part of and I got to be real careful how I phrase this. It's a sovereign citizen, and most people would look at it and say, well, he didn't cooperate, and it's the sovereign citizen movement. But aside from that mentality, what did this guy do that was illegal for him to get shot?
Well, he pulled the taser on it.
Was he violent? I mean, I got a lot of questions here, but I think that this person being a sovereign citizen only exasperates the situation. And yeah, as you said earlier, things just things
I mean,
just got
he's
out
not
of
innocent
hand.
in all this.
No.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that I'm noticing right here. If we're watching the video, the taser's in this hand. So the moment that she shoots him, nobody's in any danger because this bystander has. If anybody's in danger, it's the bystander, not either of the police officers. But just to stay, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Just to stay. I'm just gonna mute you real quick because that's very distracting. Sorry. Consistent is the word I was looking for. Because I believe that the Rashard Brooks shooting was justified because they pulled the taser and you could hear the taser click. It was going off. The person was pulling the trigger on that taser. I think that this is probably justified. However, just to back off of that a little bit, I think at the moment that it happened is very different than the Rashard Brooks case, because at the moment that this happened, everything was starting to de-escalate. The taser was being taken away from the person, and she just pulls it out and shoots him.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, as a final note, sorry, that's presumptuous of me, but if the officer was never charged here.
I don't know that she should be, but I also think that maybe female police officers should not be out on the street. That's just my opinion.
Well, here's another problem with this deal, and this was the longer video shows it, but he's going around the car and he runs right into her. She lets him go right by. If she had tackled him, grabbed him, this probably wouldn't have happened. And I think part of what she did there was, I think she was a little embarrassed about basically being completely unhelpful.
Yeah, well, and being, she's outpowered by this guy.
Yeah, right.
But there's another officer there, so why doesn't she just take a step back and let him handle it? Also, women, and most of you probably won't agree with this. Most of my audience doesn't agree with it, but women act on emotions more than men do. So I think putting them in life and death situations is not a good idea. I think that they should not be in the front lines of the military, and I don't think they should be out as a beat cop with a deadly weapon, because you hurt their feelings and they might shoot you. And that's exaggerated. Obviously, that's hyperbolic, but it's true. It just is. Men and women are built different, and that's not only physically, that's emotionally too. Crickets, I get.
Well, yeah, I think that the guys here are afraid of saying something.
You are allowed to.
I think it depends on the person.
It does.
Obviously, disagree with you.
It's never all. It's never all of anything. It's never all white people. It's never all black people. It's never all women. I'm saying if it's 80% or more,
I have what I call the Roscoe test. Mm-hmm. That if Roscoe's in a bar and drunk and belligerent, can you take him down? If you can't, you don't need to be patrolling the streets. I mean, you could do a lot of other things for the police department.
That's what I mean.
I want people on the beat that can take Roscoe down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want people who can make life and death decisions without bringing emotion into it. And I'm not saying that all women. I never said all. I said that 80% or more is my standard. And you're allowed to disagree with me, and you're allowed to agree with me too. Don't even get me started on the 19th Amendment.
If you ever want to do a future show on this topic, I have quite a bit of material.
If you are allowed to if I'm allowed to speak my mind on your show, I will definitely do it.
But let's do it.
If your audience is going to be offended and you don't want me to tell you how we need to repeal the 19th Amendment for many reasons, but the first of which is because people vote because somebody said something you don't like without looking at policies at all. That's most of the women voters, most of them. And, like, what are we doing here? Look at the policies. Also, if I would gladly give up my right to vote to have most women not be able to vote, because I think elections would be more in my favor that way. Anyway, sorry.
Oh.
I went off on a little
No,
tangent
it's
there.
quite all right. It's good. It's all good. It's all good. So what do we have next?
Next up, advocates. Black teen shot outside Family Dollar. Had hands up.
Oh boy,
This ought to be
that
good.
was rough.
All right.
Are you familiar with it?
I may be. When I see it, I just so much information goes in my head. It'll take me a minute to remember if I've
Fire
seen this
away.
before.
Put up the picture of the young
Is
man.
this the one that was robbing the store and then they protested because the store clerk shot him? Or is
No,
this
I don't
different?
think so.
That's
No,
a
this
whole
one
other
here, they were out joyriding. They pulled
Oh.
up to a Family Dollar and they all burst out of the car, except this idiot. But go ahead.
By the way, my pause game tonight is very strong. Look at that. Look at that face right there.
Man, full mass. Jaheim McMillan, 15 years of age, killed in Gulfport, Mississippi. Advocates are saying the cop who killed him should be terminated and arrested because this young 15-year-old posed no threat. This African-American 15-year-old died after police shot him in the head outside of a Family Dollar in Mississippi, October 6th. They accused him of having a gun. I'm going to show you a graphic photo of the reality of what this young 15-year-old went through. 15-year-old teen shot 8 times and 1 bullet went through his head after someone made a call and claimed teens were waving guns. Police still proceeded to handcuff him and put him on the ground after he was shot. A photo surfaced of the incident. The advocates, the community leaders, including people like Ben Dixon, our dear brother, who actually was one of the first to report on this. And I had some back and forth conversation with Ben. Benjamin Crump is now representing the family.
Oh, hell.
Anything that Benjamin Crump gets his hands on is usually a lie. 9 times out of 10. We'll do the 80% rule again. If Benjamin Crump is involved, you need to dig deep into that case and figure out what's really going on, because mostly it's a BS.
Have you heard about the Rashad Carter case in Mississippi?
Remind me what it is. I don't know name.
A construction worker, black construction worker, goes missing. They find his bones out in a field.
Oh, yes.
Well, Ben Crump lied so much that he actually has a family in hiding.
Wow.
Because of his lying. So yeah, that man is despicable.
There was a case here in Georgia that he got his little dirty fingers on, where the child, it was a teenager in high school, was found in a gym mat. Did you recall this one?
I remember that one. Absolutely, yeah.
This family, first of all, it was an accident. He got himself in that situation, couldn't get out, and by the time he realized he was in trouble, he did not have enough air left in his lungs to call out for help. That's what happened in this case. And this poor kid's family, this Benjamin Crump character, is feeding them these lies to where they will never have a night of peace, because they believe their child was murdered because of the lies that this guy is telling to them. Let this family rest. It was an accident. And now they're trying to sue everybody. The whole state of Georgia is getting sued because there's now a cover up and the white kids did it. And like all of this baloney.
That was a long time ago though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but there's new lawsuits coming up now. Yeah. Or when I say now, I mean within the last year, since I started my YouTube channel, which is within the last 18 months. So, all right. Sorry, I went off on a little Ben Crump tangent. That's what you get. Anybody who's watching over there on Johnny's channel, that's what you get on my channel. You get tangents of anything that pops into my head.
Of this young dead teenager and calling for the footage. This was on Monday. They held a news conference to say that they have video from a nearby business that shows the teen with his hands raised in front of the Family Dollar, complying with the commands of the officers on the scene. They say the video shows officers jumping out of the car, running and shooting at the young man. That's according to those who were there. There's more. Let's go to Carl Soto, activist, vice president of Black Lives Matter Restoration Polk Inc., says there are credible witnesses that say this young 15-year-old who's dead now had his hands up before the shooting took place. There's another eyewitness. Let's put her picture up. Uber driver. Her name is Deborah. Deborah Stout told the Mississippi Free Press, and I quote, "I did see him come out the front door with his hands up. And that's when he was shot. My mom was like, what the hell's going on?" She said. I'm going through PTSD right now. I can't sleep. My anxiety is up. I'm very depressed. Let me remind you of why Deborah's eyewitness account is so compelling. She has no dog in the fight, so to speak. She was driving for Uber. She did not expect to see something like this. And not only did she see it, she decided to be brave enough to tell somebody about it. She's standing by her eyewitness account. Let's put up the police chief. His name is Adam. Adam Cooper told reporters at an October 11th news.
So that's an interesting story. So
she lied. She lied.
Well, that's what I was wondering. There's video footage? Is that what you just sent me?
Yeah, that's the actual body cam footage, but she didn't see anything. She overheard others telling reporters what they heard. So she decided to jump in there and try to corroborate their claim. We know that she didn't see it because we have street views that showed her car wasn't there. This is one of the problems that I have is, and this showed up a lot with the Ferguson, Michael Brown killing, is witnesses will come forward and claim they saw something if they think that that is the narrative. And if it gets the person they hate convicted.
And sometimes people come forward whether they hate the person or not because they want their face on the news. They want to be a part of something.
Their reasoning is, I wanted to be a part of something. Exactly. And they say that. And the grand jury heard from all these people in Ferguson and said, they're lying. They admitted they lied. And she actually lied here too. And how despicable can you be?
Yeah. Well, let's see what really happened.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, guys. You're watching a true crime channel, by the way, so I shouldn't have to give trigger warnings. That's what we do over here. There we go. All right, so we have guns.
Yeah, he's got two guns. He drops one of them. That's a gun.
That's definitely a gun. Yep. Yep, that's a gun. Wait, the kid. I thought that the kid was just like, okay, hold on a second. The story that I heard from Rashad Richey just now is that the kid who was shot was the only kid that didn't have a gun. He obviously had a gun.
Yeah. The story was that the kid was coming out of the store, the police pulled up, and he held up his hand saying, "I'm not armed." And they opened fire.
That's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
All right. So we've established that he's a race baiter.
Oh, yeah.
Quite clearly. If anybody in the chat disagrees with me, please let me know. If you agree with me, let me know too. Chat is very quiet tonight. You guys are worrying me that the chat's not working. So I wonder who else is streaming right now, why nobody's here. That's okay. They all come back and watch it after the fact. So, does that anything else to say about Jaheim McMillan?
I don't think so. I think that the amazing thing was that once one person lied, the other people all heard it, and they all started repeating it, claiming that they saw it. So you had numerous eyewitnesses, call them eyewitnesses, saying they saw what happened. That he had come out of the store, he had his hands up, and then Ben Crump got involved. He basically went on there, broadcast that to everybody. And and then they finally had to release the body cam footage to show that no, he was just a murdering little creep.
Yeah.
By the way, the two people that came out of the car that were unarmed were taken in unhurt.
That's usually what happens when you put down your weapon and you surrender, which is all this kid had to do.
How long ago? How long ago was this? I see the dollar store where things are actually $1.
I think it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, it must have been a while ago. I want to get into PhD investigators' expertise. But first, if you don't mind, if we could, I'm going to do a commercial, which I do once a show. If you're here and you're new, I don't do my ads over and over and over again. It's once a show, but we're going to do it now. So this show is sponsored by nobody but me, because nobody will sponsor this crap. So I had to get my own stuff. If you go to katiez.com, you can pick up all of the merchandise. We're watching a Crimeland episode right now. We have great stuff. Actually, let me grab this from the shelf. Bam. My favorite thing in the shop is this notebook right here. It's not my How to Get Away with Crime notebook. It's a very nice notebook. I have one right here. What I like about it is perforated. So if you write down your plans and you need to burn the evidence afterwards, you can just tear out the sheet and get rid of that. By the way, don't leave your plans lying around. Make sure you get rid of that evidence. A fire is the best way. Not my How to Get Away with Crime notebook over there at katiez.com. You can also pick up the t-shirts, the tank tops, the sweatshirts, all of that. Stephen Ignoramus's merchandise is on my shop as well. You don't have to buy his stuff. But the one thing I do want to point out is this collaboration, Christ is King merchandise. This is a collaboration between Let's Be Frank, Iggy Normus, Stephen Baker, and I, the three of us got together and we put this merchandise out, and every single penny that we make from this collection goes to onemorechild.org. And what they do is provide Christ-centered services to vulnerable children and struggling families. A lot of times we talk about kids on this show that were sex trafficked, unlike Crystal Kaiser was, who were actually sex trafficked. And this organization not only helps them find a place to stay, food, shelter, all of that stuff when they're coming out of that life. But they also provide food and shelter and help in general for families in need. And a lot of these organizations only help single moms. That's not the case with onemorechild.org. They help whole families. A lot of people are struggling in this day and age, and this organization does not discriminate if there's a man in your life who's helping raise your children, like the father. They help everyone, which is what I love about it. And last but not least, Zena has her own line of merchandise, because we all know you're not here to see me, you're here to see Zena. So we have the True Crime with Zena featuring Katie Zed t-shirts and coffee mugs and all that stuff here. We have a lovely picture of Zena sleeping as she normally does on this t-shirt. All of the t-shirts in my shop are those super soft t-shirts. They're very comfortable. All of the coffee mugs are the large coffee mugs, so you have room for your cream and sugar, and I keep everything priced as low as I possibly can. So go to katiez.com for all of your stuff, all of the stuff you need, and I would appreciate it, because nobody else will sponsor this show. Let's get back into it. So the thing that we really wanted to talk about is this university that Rashad Richey set up.
Wonderful place. I mean, who doesn't want to be educated? such a such a wholesome activity. So maybe I'll give some background. Rashad Richey has a number of fake degrees.
Okay.
Whole number, maybe, I don't know. Did we count
Yep,
altogether?
I can tell you what they are. Yeah, he's
Probably a
got,
dozen.
yeah,
Yeah,
about a
I just
dozen.
want, yeah, about a dozen or so fake degrees. He does have some. I don't want to say legitimate, but he does have some
Mhm.
actual degrees. Whether he obtained them legitimately is questionable. But so that's his background. He really just wants to show how educated he is, and he's got some of these degrees from these fake degrees from some very questionable institutions. Questionable institutions like St. Magnus University is. So I guess he's gotten so many fake degrees from fake schools that he thought, I've been paying people, for my fake degrees. I got to get in on this.
Yeah.
And he set up his own university. This is registered in Florida. And so in Florida, you can register a university and have it exempt from any type of regulation if it is a religious university.
So this is a religious university then.
It is. It's a Catholic university. Now, let's point out that Rashad Richey is in no way Catholic.
I'm curious if they have any theology classes. Oh, they do. Look at that. They do have theology. Okay.
Yeah, we'll discuss that because there is a question about that.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what he set up this university, and that was last year. And he hasn't really made this public, nor does he claim to have much to do with it. But if you look at the registration record, it shows that he's the sole owner of this company.
Oh, wow.
And so he himself is the president. Then a company that he wholly owns is the secretary, and another company that he wholly owns is the treasurer of this university.
Okay.
So he owns the whole thing, and so he offers these degrees. It's just if you scroll back up, you say it's I don't know, when you first click on it, it says it's a accredited university, an accredited research university. So that's what you're greeted with when you go to the website.
Okay.
Or fully accredited, or whatever they call that. And it's not. Wow, surprise! It's a lie. It's not accredited at all. It is registered, with the state of Florida, but that doesn't mean it's accredited.
Well, I know the college that I went to when I started was not accredited. Not that it was a bad college, but it was like a community college, and they went through their accreditation while I was a student there. So I know it's a big deal to get accreditation for a college because when it happened, when they did get accredited, everyone's like, "Oh, cool," because we're paying a cheap price for this, but we're going to actually have a degree from an accredited university because it happened while I was there.
Well, there's another reason though, is because you cannot get student loans for universities that are not accredited by the U.S. Department of Education. So if you can't get student loans, then you're making your customers pay all of the costs.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to get students.
Yeah. Luckily, I had a scholarship, so I did not need a student loan. And I probably wouldn't have done it if I did need a student loan because I have not used my degree one thing ever, except for like my YouTube channel, my marketing part of my degree I used for my YouTube channel. That's it,
So let's look at these people. I mean, I don't see Rashad Richey here, right? That's not his university.
No.
Nemaya Plant.
Is he in this picture?
No, we'll see that later. But Nemaya Plant, she goes to Liberty University. She's getting a doctorate from Liberty University, right?
Huh.
Liberty University being so well known for Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I don't know what she's doing there, but she's the alleged university president. And then we have Erica Wilson. That is the lady she's an actual lawyer, not a good one, but she is. And Rashad Richey owns a law firm together with her.
And you were telling me that he has a law degree?
He does
No.
not. No, but he
But
does. He really claims to have one. So I think the background with Rashad and the law is
Mhm.
that he got into trouble a lot when he was younger,
Yeah.
and he likes to say that, oh, when I was a teenager, I got into trouble. Well, the last time he got into trouble was when he was 35 years old, that we know of,
Okay.
for some domestic assault, that sort of
Uh,
thing. And so he knows all about the law, but also I think it's important for him to know the law because he's trying to skirt around it with things like this university,
yeah.
which is a scam, right? He's fraudulently claiming that this is a research university. There's no research being done there. They don't even exist. There's no building. He's trying to defraud people out of their money. That's
They
what's
have
going on
these
here.
pictures here of people sitting around in a
Yeah,
circle listening to somebody speak, and this person, it looks like in a library
that library picture is
studying. It
that's
a coffee shop?
no, that's a picture he bought. That's a stock picture.
Is
The
it?
the picture in the middle there, that's actually Rashad Richey, and who knows what he did there or where that picture was taken. We don't know. Um,
Wow.
so,
And
but
by
yeah,
the
this is
way,
a.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If you go back to Nabaya Plant, she's listed as doctor, but
Uh-huh.
in the actual bio, it says she hasn't received her doctorate yet. That's really bad. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
she's
and university president at 24 years old, really,
she
you know?
she's due to graduate in December.
Wow.
So, but of course, like Rashad Richey, she just makes that claim anyway. Um,
They have this photo. This is really what it is. You're sitting on your sofa at home, but then they have these ones where people are on a campus, like getting lectured outside, you
All
there
know.
is
those
no
are, except
campus.
that one, are stock photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no
Yeah.
campus. There is no campus. There's
There's
an
no
address.
library.
No, there's no library. There's an address for the university, and it
Mhm.
is the address of an office of a law office that acts as a registrar for companies, so commercial law.
Wow.
And so
Interesting.
that's all it
Well,
is.
it gets deep because
Mhm.
if you go to like these diploma mills, like one of
Mhm.
the diploma mills that Rashad claimed at one time a PhD in physics from, if you can believe that, um, they have on their website the pictures of their faculty and they're stolen from other universities. I actually even had
Wow.
one of the professors even email me back saying, I didn't know that my picture was on this other university's website.
So you
So
did like a reverse image search just with the photos that he's got on his website.
absolutely. And I started
Oh,
emailing the
wow.
people, and one of them is a realtor in Poland, right? And, like, so, and this is a university that stole all of the photos for its faculty that Rashad claims he got a PhD from.
Yeah.
So that gives you an
So
idea about what you're dealing with.
so what this university is really doing is,
Mhm.
or what they're claiming is that, um, hey, you can study with us, and then you'll get the degree from the Paris Graduate School because they're a real school in Paris, France. And so you can just, you'll get the same degree because we're not giving out degrees.
Mhm.
You study here and you get the degree from the Paris Graduate School, which also makes so many false claims about itself. And Rashad Richey's a professor there
W He
of
lives in
physics.
Atlanta. He's teaching in Paris?
Well, he claims to do
Oh
that.
my goodness.
I don't think she
Yeah,
understands how this goes with the diploma
yeah,
mill.
this is, and if you stop scrolling there, you
Sorry.
scroll back up to the logos. You see
Uh-huh.
that logo. It says California University FCE.
Mhm.
That's where he claims he has the accreditation from. It's actually uh, FCE stands for Foreign Credential Evaluation. So it's an evaluator of foreign credentials. It cannot accredit anything or anybody or
And
any school.
and let's see
And
what they say about themselves here. St. Magnus University is internationally accredited and domestically approved by California University FCE. California University FCE is a reputable higher education assessment institution in the state of California educational system and has an active agreement with St. Magnus University, of Science and Research to evaluate our graduates upon completion, ensuring high quality educational attainment. So that's just all baloney, huh?
It
It
is, and
operates out of a preschool.
it's a preschool in California that's registered. That claims to teach grades 9 through 12.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, the owner of
Okay.
California University FCE is a real estate developer.
So how is this not a crime? Why is
Um,
this not a crime?
this is if you claim
Or
that you're accredited, I believe that is a crime. But mostly California University FCE
Mhm.
just evaluates degrees. So what would happen is if you studied at this university, at St. Magus University, you'd study there, then you get a degree from the Paris Graduate School. They give you a
Okay.
degree, and then California University FCE comes in and says, "Hey, I'm gonna evaluate this French degree for you, and I'm gonna find that this is completely equivalent to a high value degree from a U.S. institution."
Wow.
So this
Okay.
is this is the scam. Of course, it's legal because now it's evaluating a foreign degree, and the evaluation is just their opinion.
Okay. So how do they
Yeah.
evaluate? Do they test students who have graduated to see if they actually know the material, or how do they evaluate it? They sit in
Just
on
with their
lectures?
professional judgment, which means you pay them a few $1,000s, and
Okay. So it's
well,
just all BS. All of
yeah,
it.
all
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Interesting.
But where I think the scam is that the actual fraud
Mhm.
is that he claims that this is a fully accredited university, and it's not.
It is fraud.
It is
That's
fraud. Then
definitely a crime. Fraud is a
yeah,
crime.
if you accept money, based on a false claim, that would be fraud. So I'm not sure I don't know any victims here, but and I'm thinking that this is targeted towards foreign students who
Yeah.
would not actually bring legal action against them because they don't know anything and they wouldn't know how to do
It
that.
really is
Yeah.
a tragedy of the commons because you have this, especially with Rashad's market of
Mhm.
like inner city and where education is at a premium, and he's marketing to these kids with this BS school
Yeah.
where they could be going to get accredited degrees. And instead of advocating for that, I could see him saying, well, just go to the school I own, I'll take care of you.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. And like I said, it's a tragedy of the commons where education
Mhm.
comes at a premium and he's supplying something that is useless to the people he's marketing to.
Yeah. They
And
would
then
be
this
better off going to a community college to do their first 2 years at a community college like I did. They really would.
Or even a trade school
Mhm.
or the military.
Yeah.
So let's say so this degree, let's let people know about this. If you want a degree from St. Magus University, it's $29,000. So
Wow.
you can part with a lot of money, for this, and that's yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I posted it in. We might want to talk about it a little bit later. That's one of the reasons.
Oh, well, we're getting ready to wrap up, so we should go into
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So let me one final note. Again,
Mhm.
I'm presumptuous. I keep doing that because I'm used to hosting. Sorry. So one more note on it is they don't have the capacity to give you anything for 29,000. All
Mhm.
of these faculty members and they have full time jobs, so they're not going to be able to teach you anything. So they're
Uh-huh.
going to collect 29 grand from you and basically just give you a diploma
So you're just purchasing a piece of paper for
Yeah.
for the most
$29,000.
part. Yeah.
And I mean, this is how Rashad got his degrees. So on the fake PhD investigation Substack, I've written
Mhm.
2 articles
If
on
could you put that link in the private chat, and I'll put it in the chat for people if they want to go to your Substack?
yeah, and so I've kind of detailed why
Mhm.
all this is, why this is not legitimate,
Mhm.
and just written up in a lot of detail with links to prove everything if somebody ever wants to sort of look at that. So if somebody wants to find out why why his degrees are fake, that's where it is. Very detailed explanations. And of course, Rashad Richey, likes to boast about it, and that's where the other thing comes in, which I also have in that Substack. He maintains a sort of a marketing cloud, a number of websites, fake news websites, where he pops up as
He's
being
good at that.
the most brilliant man on earth, or that sort of thing. So he puts out a lot of articles about himself because he just needs to needs people to believe that he's the greatest guy.
Yeah, and then I think we could probably wrap it up with the Alzheimer's thing. What do you think?
Yep. Let me
Okay.
find where did I
Well,
put
you
it?
could go to that article that I just posted.
Yeah, let's do that article. Did you send me anything about the Alzheimer's thing? Or you
No.
just talked about it?
While you guys look for it, I'll tell people more about Rashad Richey. He's not only a lawyer, but he also claims to be a professor of physics and a neuroscientist who's invented a cure for Alzheimer's, and he's proven the cure. And so he's put out all these articles that he's published a scientific article in a fake predatory journal about the medical trial he did, and how he totally and most definitely cured this lady completely of Alzheimer's.
Wow. And now this article that I have pulled up here is one that he wrote about himself.
That's right.
Okay,
Tech
so
Times, Tech Times, I believe, is not part of his. He doesn't control that website himself, but he paid a marketing firm to place that article.
So, Parrott Graduate School physics professor Dr. Rashad Richey was recently granted provisional patent status by the United States Patent and Trademark Office for his latest invention, the neurological brain entrainment device. Am I saying that right? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's no such thing as a provisional patent.
I don't know what entrainment means.
It means a kind of a synchronization of waves.
Gotcha. I knew I had smart people on the panel for a reason, which is turning heads in the medical community as one of the most intriguing scientific advancements in recent years for human cognition. Look, he drew a picture.
Can you imagine? Look at that picture. That's a schematic.
That's apparently what got approved by the patent office.
Wow. All right. The device is set to begin clinical trials in 2024, seeks to revolutionize the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, potentially reversing its effects and enhancing cognitive functions. Currently, Alzheimer's has no known medical cure. During his
still doesn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
It still doesn't.
It still doesn't. During his keynote presentation at the 2023 National Society of Black I lost my place. Sorry. Okay. During the 2023 National Society of Black Physicists Conference in Knoxville, Tennessee, the premier global forum for Black physicists, Dr. Richey articulated his conviction that quantum physics is key to unlocking the future of medical breakthroughs. So he just made this whole thing up. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think he took an existing device and basically just copied it. I don't know.
Yeah.
The problem is that this article doesn't describe the device. So I can't tell even if it exists, but
we have schematics right here, Johnny. What do you
I'm sorry.
At one point, I looked at the devices like this, and I found a website that sells these devices. So they already exist. This is like 10 years old.
Is it Amazon.com?
It's not on Amazon. It's some other, but it's the same sort of scam. They're claiming, hey, this could totally help you out. Buy our $390 device. And of course, it doesn't help. And I think that's what he's wanting to do. He's got all these, millions of social media followers.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to sort of create a narrative that he's invented this device and it cures Alzheimer's, and you should totally buy it.
And that's the thing is my family, both of my grandparents on my mom's side suffered with Alzheimer's before they passed away, and I worry about my mom. I worry about myself, but I really worry about my mom who's in her late 70s. So, if I didn't know any better and I saw something like this, it'd be worth it to me to spend $300 to see if it worked, and that's what he's banking on. Is people like me who worry about their elder loved ones, you know?
So his speech at the National Society of Black Physicists, which is a real organization, it's a good organization. I
Yeah.
knew a couple people that belong to it.
Okay.
He went, and his presentation was a total clown show.
I
We don't have
bet.
the time for it, but I went and emailed the former president of the NSBP and told him,
Mhm.
"Hey, you guys got taken. This guy has no background in physics whatsoever."
Yeah.
And the man threatened to sue me if I ever contacted him about Rashad again. Turns out that this guy
Wow.
is Rashad's mentor at the Paris Graduate School.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you see how this is kind of working. And the other
Yeah.
thing is he does a clinical trial on a human being, which
Mhm.
is really spotty because MIT, for example, 10 years ago was doing this kind of research.
Mhm.
They're not even doing it on humans.
Yeah.
And this whole notion that, oh, they're doing some experiments on mice, I can do that. I'll just bring my neighbor over and see. That's really dangerous stuff.
I've got
And
2 test subjects right here
Yeah.
that we can do tests on.
yeah,
And I
well,
mean, if we want to bring this whole Rashad's education back to the race issue,
Mhm.
we can do that too, because Rashad Richey is about to go in a few days on a trip of a lifetime to Egypt to see his ancestors, which are definitely from Egypt, um,
Okay.
because black
He
people
looks
built the
Egyptian.
well, no, black people built the pyramids. Never
There's
mind that this was disproven, but that's kind
but
of where he's going. He's got a degree in education, right?
Mhm.
And his advisor for that degree
Y
is an EDD. He's
Oh,
got
look
yeah.
at that. Yeah.
His advisor is well, you can only call him a black supremacist.
Yeah.
So he got his degree from that guy, and that guy's convinced that black people, Egyptians, at some point they migrated to Nigeria, or what is now Nigeria, and then were taken as slaves and brought to America. So that's sort of the
Who
story.
took them
Which,
as slaves? Because it wasn't white people.
yeah, of course, that's a whole other topic. That of course
Who
black
built the
people enslaved
ships?
black people, but
Sorry, that's a whole nother subject.
whole nother subject, but they've done the genetic testing and it's all nonsense.
Yeah. So is there
So
anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we wrap it up? It's been 2 hours, which it feels like it's just a blink of an eye because we went through so much.
Well,
yeah, I think we're good to wrap up.
yeah, I think I mean, we could go on, but
I
yeah,
know.
we're at the point we should wrap up.
We might have to do a part 2.
well, keep in mind, I think I have 50 something videos on Rashad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think about
definitely.
40 of them are about his fraud, my claims about him being a fraud. It is wild
Mhm.
what he's done, just absolutely wild. And he seems to have no fear of people uncovering, his deceit. It's just totally reckless. He reminds me of that Dalton mayor,
Oh,
Tiffany
Dalton,
Hilliard.
Illinois, yeah.
Yeah, in the sense they're so brazen,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you got to have. I can't imagine having that kind of personality where everybody knows I'm full of it, but I'm just going to continue pounding it, and he does that.
Yep. I want everybody who's watching this now and after the fact to go over and check out Johnny's YouTube channel. I just put the link in the chat. He's got so much great content over there about Rashad Richey and other subjects. You said you had how many hundred Kyle Rittenhouse
I
videos
have
over there?
400 on Kyle, and I have 900 total.
Yeah, I need to make more videos apparently. I just do live streams because I don't know how to edit is my issue. So
Well, I should mention I have a playlist called Dumb Arguments about Kyle Rittenhouse, and there's 90 of them.
yeah.
And so if you're interested in hearing all the dumb arguments made about the trial,
How many of those are Anna Kasparian yelling about state lines?
none of them, believe it or not. Actually, I think I do have her in that one.
Yeah. He crossed state lines. No, he didn't. And even if he did, it's not against the law.
But she's actually come around a little.
I know. She is coming around on a lot of subjects, which just it's very surreal to me to agree with Anna Kasparian on anything. But I
And
do
by the
agree
way,
with her on
she's
some
not a fan of Rashad Richey.
I know. That's great. I agree with her. I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you all very much for coming up and educating me about Rashad Richey, because I knew who he was just because of the race baiting stuff when it has to do with crime. My show is a crime show. I cover a lot of crime stuff on my show. So he does pop up on my radar from time to time, but I had no idea about the Alzheimer's stuff or the university stuff or any of that sort of stuff. So it's interesting to know that the people that are lying to you about the news are also probably lying to you about other stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is
And thanks for letting us be on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It was a good time
Anytime.
here.
Anytime. And if there's ever a crime case that you want to come up and do a deep dive on, let me know. I wish I would have gotten you on I wish I would have known you when I was covering Crystal Kaiser, although I might go back and touch a little bit more on that just because recently some stuff happened with her case. So
We should do a Daryl Brooks sometime in the future too.
we should.
I've
Absolutely.
got a lot on him.
That's what caught my eye the other day as you were talking about Daryl Brooks, and I was scrolling on my YouTube looking for something to do, and I just we're going to talk about Daryl Brooks.
By the way, one I have in the works right now, I haven't haven't completed yet, is I'm comparing all the sovereign citizen judges.
I would like to get in on that one for sure.
Hey, let's do it. Let's work together on that.
Yeah, I will definitely come on your show or we could do it both like we're doing now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would appreciate that. Well, thank you very much, Fake PhD investigator and Chirp. It was very good meeting you, Chirp. I will talk to you later about that person that I was telling you about before the show. We'll look into that.
Happy to help. And if it's okay, I'd like to give out a shout out to my friends in Nigeria. There's
Absolutely.
a group out there, and they're very meaningful. So thank you.
Thank you, Nigeria friends. I appreciate you too. Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
All right.
First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man, Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you so loco? Show off your photos, throw out your Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies. Them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a fagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Looking for new drills, needed a new track of land. I used to dig the Simpsons, man. Bumping Biggie, Pop, Smash Mouth, and Simple Plan. No scrubs for the crease in my pimples, damn. From the south streets of southeast Michigan, hitting shuffle till I settled on a different jam. And when a dime won't do, a better nickel can. And let me tell you, when I used to dig them Simpsons, man. A funny thing about time, you can't get it back. A tight grip, but it rips the jacket. Slight lisp with a mix of traffic. You see about me, like Mr. Glass. Always wished I was a whiz at graphics. Take me back to the past where the hits were massive. You could hear Gladys Knight and the Pips on plastic. Misfit molasses. Delete my contacts just so I can stick to glasses. Feel that skipped out, so I miss the classics. Aristotle of the bottle, Seneca of the simple action, senator of the simple maxim. I swear for a skillful Saxon, I'm still relaxing. Who wanna take a dip in the mind sauce, making up for the time lost, forgetting all my past was when I sign off. Prime bribe, prime rib, Agent Smith, crime boss.